welcome to the League of Extraordinary Atheists for Humanism, where we attempt to apply logic and reason to religion and politics. I'm here again with my wonderful, beautiful Christy Santiago co-host. Get the words, in some order. And we're here again tonight. We've been having issues with YouTube, but we're not the only ones. We have a few people in our community who have been kind of going in and out on YouTube. So if this cuts out fully again, we probably won't be back tonight. We'll pick this up again next week. So yeah, say hi, Christy, again.
If there were a God, you could pray to him that YouTube doesn't break down on us. If there's not, if it does break down, we still love you. And it is still Friday, so happy Friday.
Yes.
And let's do this.
Let's do this.
Jimmy says.
As Jimmy says.
I'm Mr.
Good old Jimmy.
Let's do this.
Jimmy Snow. All right, let's go. All right, so where did I leave off? Yes, at the beginning. So I'm going to pretty much start over real quick. Click this link, bring it back up. All right, we're talking COVID and also the elections for 2020 this week. I'm going to try my best to kind of breeze through it. So I'll back it up as I did last time. Fun facts before I get to the actual numbers, the specific statistics. Also, Nacha, can you put the link down in our chat real quick? Because I actually don't have it up on my window yet. So that would be awesome. So, fun facts. COVID cases are of people who have been tested for COVID-19 are staying at about 20% right now. And they've been that way for at least a month. So what I read was on April 15th, 2020, we tested about 25 times more people than we tested on March 15th. And both days and the time in between, it's been at about 20%. So that's just an interesting little fun fact that I read, and it's really hard to tell with the info that we have just how much this disease is spreading and how many lives this is really affecting, because we are just not testing enough people. But also, like, we know that, like, it is growing, right? Because we see the death rate spiking, like over the last 4 or 5 days here. I've seen it go from the low thousands to the mid thousands to like 2,000 to 2,500 just each day. And then yesterday it hit 4,000 deaths in one day just in the USA. And that's the highest in any one country that it has been since the start of the pandemic. And that's after we already beat all the other records, because 2000 was like a record at the records we want to break. But things aren't good, and we're still only getting a small amount of positive tests. But we know that there are more sick people than we are testing. So it's really a mess, and it's really hard to have super accurate data. But we do know that more people are getting infected with this. Christy, you look like you want to say something. No?
It's just heartbreaking. We have, less than 5% of the world's population in this country. Less than 5%. But we have the highest death rate. We have the highest other things for being such a small, so it shouldn't surprise me, but it still is astonishing. Total confirmed cases, United States, 710,021. Today, deaths, 820. So.
You said today's?
That's today's, yeah.
Okay.
Total deaths, 37,158 in the United States.
Yeah.
So it's just it's aggravating. It's frustrating. I know there's going to come a time when all this is over and it's going to be really sad. I don't think at the country we're there yet. I think a lot of us are just really pissed off, frustrated.
Now there's a word about the economy, which is also a thing we do need to worry about. But
how we
that's something we're gonna
what we need to worry about, right?
Yes. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic.
Yep.
Economy versus lives. So do you want to start this one out?
No, go for it.
Okay, because I don't have everything I wanted to have up for this part, actually. So what I wanted to talk about was how much we've spent on the economy, and how we've spent it. And as I said, I don't really have the exact numbers. I know that it's getting close to like 5 trillion, isn't it?
Yes, and it's gonna be much more.
It's gonna have to be.
The way that the policy was written up, the way that it was, created, was that they will be able to continue to borrow money under this particular, bill because of the crisis. So as long as we're in the crisis, they can continue to borrow money. But don't you worry, citizen who helps pay that money to them. You get a $1,200 check and it's supposed to last you. You're supposed to take it and shut up and be happy. Bootstraps. I'm very frustrated, obviously.
Well, yeah, no, I understand why. And I mean, a lot of people are, and rightfully so. So yeah, there's been a handful of deaths, as we just mentioned, and it's for multiple reasons. The issues that we're having with dealing with this pandemic stem from multiple problems that we have. One way is how each of these countries around the world that have to deal with this and minorly have to deal with this, it's just how they govern, right? How they govern, and then how seriously they take a situation like this, and then how honest they are with their people, with their citizens, when shit starts to hit the fan. They start having to take emergency actions. All of these little bits really make up the world that we see around us. Like, it makes up the situations that we're in now. Like the lack of testing that we have here. It's one of the biggest issues that we have, but also one of the largest issues that we have here in the USA is no one really trusts any information coming at them at any point in time. I'm sure many of you can relate to, if you try to talk to your parents or your siblings about politics, it ain't easy. If you try to talk to your parents or siblings about just this isn't really just politics, this is just like world happening.
Yeah.
No one knows how to talk about this because we all have different information and we don't trust so much of the other information coming in at us. And that is a governing issue, like how we have let our government get out of control so much, and also our private entities get so out of hand that when we get data or when we get our news, we have to take everything with a grain of salt. And there's just so many different narratives being spun this way and that way. So I'm seeing, for example, depending on where I'm getting my information from, like CNN or Fox, or like a lefty YouTuber or some kind of independent news media, they focus more on the deaths and the lives that's going on, or they're focused more on we need to open the economy back up.
Right.
Right. And sources that are usually funded more by private companies are really more focused on the economical side of things. So we need to get people back to work because we need to we can't just let the whole economy crash. I would die for our economy. Like, they go really to great lengths.
Yeah.
And
Sacrifice your grandma
ways.
and grandpa for the economy.
At least give grandma and grandpa a choice to go die for this country. Come on, I would do it, so I'm going to tell your grandpa to do it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Yeah, I sent you haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but I got sent something that you'll see has a lot of views. It has he has a lot of subscribers, and he has a doctor on who's saying, I mean, outrageous claims, and this is being spread everywhere. And so I'm just watching it. I watched for the first few minutes. I'm like sitting down. Within the first, after 5 minutes, I'm pacing watching this, like, oh my God, there's another one. Like, that's not true. And this is I'm just so frustrated watching this. I sent it to a friend of mine who, Dr. Drew, if he's listening. Hi, Dr. Drew. He immediately sent me a link to that doctor's profile. He is a fraudster. He's not even allowed to work at most hospitals because of studies he did on autistic kids that hurt them. Like, he's a bad person. He's a monster. So, but if you don't look into these things, and the media is, I think, like you said, maybe we didn't let this happen and get this way, but we're not being a part of trying to stop it unless we start being a part of trying to stop it. Stuff like that should not be. I'm a free speech absolutist, but stuff like that cannot be under the category of news. It cannot be under the category of factual information. It has to be in political satire or something else. And it has to come with a warning that none of these claims are demonstrable. These are all just, this is fiction, is what it needs to say. And it's dangerous. So if you're getting your news and it's all about the economy and you don't hear anything else, hopefully you feel like something's lacking, and you're feeling that because you're correct. Something is lacking. It's not about that. It really isn't. That's a part of a system that's ran by the humans. So without the humans, there is no system. So let's stop talking about that and concentrate on this. And then this will either fall apart and we'll have a different one, a better one that works for us, or we won't.
Right. We can hope, but so what's something that we hear? Maybe you can say it before I say it. What's something you hear with we need to get the economy back up? Like, why is this so important, and why can we just do it? What's the good news through all of this? If we just get back to work and get going again, we'll build herd immunity.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Boris Johnson is the example why going for herd immunity is the dumbest shit I ever heard. He said, I'm going for herd immunity as the leader of my nation. And then he bragged about shaking everybody's hands as much as possible, going out of his way to shake people's hands. He bragged about shaking all these doctors' hands who he knows for a fact worked on COVID patients all day long, bragged about it. And then he had to go to ICU because he had the COVID. So science is a thing. It's a method of finding out how things work. And hunches aren't a part of that.
Right. This really is Darwinism, right? Like, if you're stupid about this, you will die off. And the ones who are not stupid about it, not just the ones who who are asymptomatic, who can get this virus and not really be super affected by it. this is like, we're like a social species, we're like a problem-solving species that work around the issues that we have in our world, right? So
We adapt.
we didn't, we adapt, and we do it with our brains more than like with our thick skin, right? We can't just beat viruses. We make a ton of vaccines, right? We go to the doctor when we feel sick to figure out how we can cure ourselves. We didn't make it this long through history because we can just um, sleep outside in the snow because we're super tough. No, we built houses, right, with insulation so we can get through the heat and the cold. We have cooling and heating, right? We need to dodge this virus like we need to dodge the hot weather, the cold weather, the tornadoes, and the hurricanes the best we can. Sometimes our ideas and our fail-safe is they don't go as planned. Houses get knocked down. We still get sick because we have to go to the grocery store, and little kids touch everything, and so do the big kids, the adults. Just
yes, they do.
Yeah, it happens all the time. So my point here is they're right when they talk about herd immunity. It'll work. But how many people have to die before it works? Right? Because, it will be a lot. They're absolutely right. So why I asked for this to be named economy versus lives is because that's really what it is. Like, the more we push for the economy to be open, the more lives we will lose. Like, that's not really a maybe. I can just say we will lose those lives because it's just, that's common sense. That is what's happening right now. And the more that we keep it closed, the more lives we will save. But we will lose a lot of monetary gains. We will lose probably a lot of small businesses.
Oh, definitely. There's going to be complete industries that will never recover from this. I mean, that's a fact. It's a hard fact. But every time some huge, massive thing that's out of the commons control, that's what happens. Certain industries are just never going to come back. And we're going to have to make sure that we take care of those people. And we have to choose. This is going to be a fork in the road for not just America, for everyone all over the planet, a fork in the road. And there are solutions. You can look around and see nations already doing solutions so that the people can be taken care of, not spoiled, not given handouts, given what they've put in, being taken care of. And also nationalizing the massive amount of industry temporarily. There is a sunset clause. Once this is done and things get back to normal, here you go. But there'll be regulations so that you can't do what you did before and put it in a bubble and make sure that, it couldn't take care of itself in emergency. You weren't doing the right thing. Yeah. And it's so funny because those are the same people, the same pundits you always hear saying about, a family or an individual. Well, they didn't save money. They had to know that an emergency was coming. Like, you've got to be responsible. Maybe you shouldn't have bought that iPhone. All those dumb arguments.
Here are yelling and be like, stop it.
Right, exactly. But those same assholes, trillionaires, just about.
Yeah.
Okay, that's hyperbolic, obviously. But they'll never worry a day in their life about finances, and they need help now. So I hope that all of them, take it as that's what this feels like. Even though they're not hurting, even though they're not worried how their bills are going to be paid, maybe they'll take just a little bit of it and think, it's a little bit scary. Imagine if I didn't have all of this. I'd be fucked. So have a little compassion. I think that there are solutions. Nationalizing a lot of industries, especially with a sunset clause would do wonders. I mean, all the hospitals, all the clinics, all the dentists, anything that has to do with taking care of healthcare should immediately be nationalized. Eye care, dental, vision, eye care, vision. I think I said that twice. Hearing is what I meant. All of it should be nationalized with sunset clauses. Once we're back, you can have it back.
Which European country did that like 3 weeks ago? Like they nationalized their healthcare system for the remainder of the crisis.
Probably somebody.
I want to say it was Spain.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Was it?
You're right.
Yay! Hey guys, I was right. Mark this down.
Because they had both private and national.
Right. So they no more private for right now.
That's the thing. A private hospital makes its money how? Not taking indigent people.
Sick people.
By rich sick people or elective surgeries. Most hospitals make like 60% of their yearly income from elective surgeries. So elective surgeries are not happening right now. So those hospitals are saying, hey, we're not going to be able to make it. We're going to need some help. And right now, our government's saying, looks like you might fail. Like, I just don't get why you would do that in the middle of a pandemic. Because they don't see it as if you can't make a profit, they have no care for it, which is just, that's what I hope to change before I die.
Yeah. We're trying, right? Yeah. First step is talking about it. So, a little bit more that I want to go a little deeper in this. I really want to apply some foresight to what our actions are going to cause, depending on what these actions are. So let's say before I say it, the world economy right now, as opposed to 2009 after the 2008 recession, which was like one of the worst recessions in like modern history. The global, the real GDP growth in 2009 was negative 0.1%. For the Great Lockdown of 2020, which is what economists are calling it, is negative 3%, which is 30 times higher. Or lower. So worse, we'll say worse. The world economy is really taking a hit. So what I really want to get to now is, let's say we do as I was just talking about. We really start to open up the economy more. We do try to practice social distancing, but we know that this is an airborne virus. So social distancing really, it helps, but it is not any kind of key solution. It just lowers your chances a little bit. But you're muted, Christy. You're muted.
Yeah. Okay. Social distancing is the equivalent of a professional polar outer. There's still a chance. There's still a chance, but there's a good chance you won't. Like,
talk for like 10 more seconds. That was wonderful. I got to grab another drink now.
Social distancing is, it's safer than not social distancing. So it's the equivalent, I feel, of a professional polar outer. Just put that in perspective. No, I think that they're blowing the whole economy thing. I can only watch so much corporate media anyway. I do, just because I feel like it's better to know what they're saying. However, I hear a lot about, the deficit, and I'm just like, but if you educate yourself, you take yourself away from what they're telling you it is, and go look about it. Go on a look about. The deficit is the difference between what the federal government spends called outlays, and what it takes in, called revenue or receipts. The national debt, also known as the public debt, is the result of the federal government borrowing money to cover its years and years of budget deficit. And it's just a circle. It doesn't have anything to do with really like us. They can print more. It's not going to be the end of the world. Of course, you have to worry about inflation. I'm not saying be crazy, but
Right.
what if the last few
world
weeks have shown people is that Bernie Sanders said Medicare for all would cost $32 trillion over 10 years. And what the last few weeks just showed all of us people who agree with Bernie Sanders on this particular
we can afford it.
Is that we can afford it, because $3 trillion a year times 10 years is $30 trillion. Well, we spent well over that in a matter of 3 weeks. So
yeah, and that doesn't mean that's all we need to spend our budget on, right? But
no.
That 30, you said 3 trillion over 10 years?
32, yeah.
32 trillion. Right now we're spending 50 to 60 trillion dollars over 10 years. Right, but
see, what they don't want,
we're saving a lot of money.
They don't want you to think about that, because the way that the ruling class, the lawmakers,
the people who make the profits,
right, the way that they see it is, yeah, but you guys pay that, we don't.
Right.
And so, but what we're saying is that it's unaffordable. If you took what we pay on our health care but scaled it up to their budget, they would say, hell no, I'm not paying that. So, right. But they don't feel it. We need to make them.
Yes. For those of you who are new here, that's called a progressive tax rate, right? Yes. So yeah, you pay more in because you can afford more.
Right.
And no one can spend like $1 billion in a lifetime. So why does Jeff Bezos have 140 billion or 143, whatever?
Billion, yeah.
Billion.
And why wouldn't you want to help out the very system, the very system that built you up and gave you all of this? Don't you feel a little bit like, wow, if I gave everyone, people I don't know in this country, a little leg up, I wouldn't even feel it. Like those are the people that are saying this country can't afford healthcare. Like I don't care. When you talk, I go la 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 la, because it doesn't matter. It just doesn't.
No, and
you're not the boss of me. I think I say that too.
So backtracking to professional puller outer. I had to grab another drink.
But am I right?
Yes.
It's a good equivalent.
Right. Yeah, you're right, because that works, just not all the time, right?
You still might get pregnant and you still might catch COVID, but you might not.
Hopefully not both. So that said, moving on. So if we open up the economy, we are most likely going to lose lives. And we are going to have restrictions as we open up the economy. So we have the chance of acting like everything's normal when we still have this unemployment rate going up to higher than Great Depression numbers.
Oh yeah, it's past that.
It's past that. Like, have we hit 30% already?
I'm sure it's 30%.
It's close if it's not.
I'm sure
it's well over 20, and I think it was 25. Was it 20 or 25 during the Great Depression?
Last week.
Yeah, I know. I was asking last century though.
No.
But yeah,
25 was Great Depression numbers, yes, and 25 is what we had last week. So.
Yeah. So if we just open the economy back up, and we're not going to open it fully, like we know that. We're going to have a lot of deaths, and a lot of people will probably be overlooked, because the companies who thrive when we open the economy back up, they're going to be doing what they need to do. What does a company live to do? Make profits. They don't exist to help the economy and help their workers. They exist to make profits. And we don't have a lot of like social democracy kind of businesses or companies that really distribute the wealth much more downward, like Reaganomics would like you to think, right? The money siphoned up to the top and then sprinkled down to have like let everyone live a decent enough life to not have you fight for more. It's
the opposite of a democracy.
Right, and this
literal opposite of a democracy.
Right, and this is exactly what our government's doing to us at the same time, right? They're saying, all right, this sucks, right? This sucks. We all know this sucks. We need to help our people, but we can't lose our donors because they're the ones that fund our campaigns, and that's why we're in power. And also, they really do run the country. Like, we have a very weird libertarian authoritarian country, letting businesses have more say over the government than we let the people, like of by and for the people government. We don't have, we have that 1%, right? We have the captains of industry really pulling the strings because they have the money, because money is power. The robber barons.
Yeah, the 2020 version of the 1929 version of robber barons.
Yes. So why am I going into this rabbit hole of damn them rich people? It's because, again, if we open up the economy too much and overlook down below, that's just what's going to happen. We're going to continue on course like everything's normal, but when things are not normal, there's so many small businesses and middle to lower class family who are just going to be devastated by this. These loans that we're getting, this is what I was talking about, like businesses do the same as our government is doing now. We got these stimulus checks that didn't have provisions, we didn't get to talk about last week, to make sure that the banks can't take any overdrafted accounts. Any accounts.
That today that was today. Yes. Today yes. That was taken care of. But no, at first they did not.
No.
They were going
the banks started to screw people.
Yes, they were going to allow that to happen until people threw a fit. Yeah.
Which is crazy because the banks got their own bailout. That is why there is no excuse. Anyone who has an argument for this has lost. Well, they do owe that to the banks. No, we paid the banks multiple times now to make sure they're okay through this. Now, this is for the people, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm a little more socialist minded anyways. I want a government that really works for the people. I want to work from the bottom up instead of the top down, right? If we want a bailout, so this is the other side now. Let me back up and then work back up to where I was going. If we keep the economy closed and just have essential businesses, we still have problems, right? We do save a lot of lives. We save a lot of lives from COVID, right? And other illnesses. This actually helps a lot of health issues by doing it this way. Except people with pre-existing conditions, because we don't have an economy that really supports them. Anyone who is already pretty poor, and that the stimulus check that is just pretty much breadcrumbs to so many Americans, they're still screwed because we don't have an economy that helps them. And people are going to get laid off and fired, and their jobs are just going to go away. Like, this really is a catch-22. And the reason it's a catch-22 is not just because like just the economy is crashing. The economy is crashing and we don't have a government to fix it. And I don't want them to just fix it. They need to support us because we support the government. You know how we get a tax return every year because we pay into taxes? That's what we want in our healthcare. We want a return from our tax money. We want a return from these taxes that we pay to support the people and the economy. If we divided the bailout of 2008 and the bailouts that were getting here for the banks and the stock market, and we only gave it to the people. Only the people, not a single business, not even a small business. I wouldn't want a small business to get this before all the people got a good amount of money.
Yeah, because the people work at the small businesses, so they would still
Right.
be getting.
Right. You can pay those small businesses. You can make your normal payments. Right. You can make your normal payments if you're getting like one country is paying 80%
Yeah.
of what people already earn, like their wages. If we did that, we can get by. We're not spending it on things we don't need. Like we're not going to the movies right now. We're spending like maybe a quarter of the amount of like gasoline. We're saving a lot of money. If the government pays 80% of our wages to incentivize us to stay home, that would really help. If we had a government like that, but instead they give us crumbs and bail out the top first, while they keep it and they're not paying their employees. So it's not working down to us, but we could keep them afloat.
Well,
We could keep almost all of the businesses afloat by just paying the people to make their normal payments. It really is basic economics.
that would be the smartest way to do it. And then use science and data, because this is not going to be over for anywhere between 18 and 24 months, maybe even a little bit longer. And by using science and data and keeping your citizens home, what will happen is you'll have areas that will have no one testing in it. So that area will open up, and then it'll be called rolling quarantine. And all over the country, there'll be like 3 months down and then up, and 3 months down. You'll see it until we have a vaccine. This is what's going to have to happen. And by stepping in as a government, and when that happens to your area for those 3 months, it's just automatic, guaranteed. Rents aren't due for this time. Nothing's due for this time.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's the way it is. The company that would get paid is needing that money. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
But if the government also says you don't have to worry about that either.
Right.
So it's just a freeze. We'll pick up, you won't owe anything. We'll just pick up where we left off, because we put a pause on everything, and we will pay you to stay home. The rolling quarantines would happen a lot safer, a lot faster, a lot down precisely, because everyone would be getting tested. I think that's straight from just listening to science podcasts all week of scientists talking about this and how they know this is what they do. This is how it is going to be. This is what they expect. It's wonderful to understand,
They do tabletops for this kind of thing. They role play these situations out because it's important. Like, we need to know what different countries are going to do. This is what like some of like our government officials do with scientists to see how they're going to handle these situations, and they see if they fail or not.
And it had been over 100 years. So for the last 15 years, pandemic, sciences, all of the sciences that have to do with germs and viruses were like, listen, any day now is going to happen, and we are not ready. And no one would listen. No one ever listens to the goddamn scientists. It's so frustrating. Right. Why do they spend their life? They're not in it to make millions and be, superstars. They want to know how things work and understand things and figure shit out.
It's another public good.
Test it to make sure that they got it right, and then send it off to other scientists so that they can peer review it. Like, listen to these guys, please. Please listen to them. I can't take much more of this.
Yeah. So the two options that it looks like we have is open it or keep it closed, or some slight variation on both. Neither are good right now, and neither are good is because we don't have a government of by or for the people for real. We don't have an economy that can handle a pandemic. If we change some of our policies to something similar to like what I'm talking about, or there's other proposals that might work as well, we could fix it. But keeping our government the way it is now doesn't work for either choice. It just does not. We need to nationalize healthcare. We need a single payer provider for healthcare. We need the banks to freeze.
We do.
Banks don't need to make profit right now. If anyone who works, right.
Freeze. A pause.
Freeze. Pause.
Yep. A pause.
Pay the workers.
No interest. None of that, like interest. You know, oh, we won't charge you anything
no loans,
for this, but interest we will. No, a freeze.
No.
A freeze. So that way, all the way up, the biggest, you know, like the guy who spent his life buying properties so that the rents for those properties pay his mortgage on those properties, you know, so, and then he makes a little bit more. Tons of people do
Bloomberg.
Tons of people do this, even if they just start with like 2 or 3 houses. Well, if those houses that they're renting out can't pay, well, then he can't pay the mortgages on those 3 houses or his. So I'm saying all the way up, it has to be frozen for everyone. And I do have to add insurance companies. They're on to this. You have to watch. I will link it as soon as I'm done talking. I will find it and link it in the chat. The podcast Michael Moore just had executives from like Aetna. They're not there anymore. Oh, it's so good about meetings that they'd had, how they had started setting up contingency plans because they knew like the gig is up. People are going to realize there's no reason for us. They do not serve a public good. They do not serve a purpose. Their only purpose is to be like the drug dealer in between what you need and you. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. So the podcast is very eye-opening, listening to the people from the inside and why they quit. They quit because they couldn't do it anymore. They realized that one girl, I guess, one particular case really got this guy upset. You know, a teenager needed a transplant. And they were all ready. They found the organ. Everything was ready. And he had to say, we're not going to cover it. And she died. Like, he couldn't. Disgusting. He was like, there's no point. She had, like, why wouldn't you save her life? Fuck the money. Like,
yeah. That's the number one reason why we don't need health insurance.
Nope.
So, no health care, no point in the industry should it be for profit. It should be for healthcare. It's like on the title. It's strange. It's weird.
If somebody says, well, what about all those jobs? Valid question. There are a ton of Americans working in healthcare. Guess what? They can still work in healthcare because not only will they have a guaranteed job, they will have a government job with full benefits, and everybody in the country is going to be in that network. So their job just got bigger and better, and they just got a better position in life. Like, and we're going to need to hire more because right now, like 30 million Americans have zero insurance. We're going to add those to it too. So you'll still have a job. I think in switching over, it will be the government's responsibility to make sure that your training for your new job is paid for by the government. And you get a wage. I think you should get paid for your training. And the people that work in healthcare that would be losing their job at private insurance companies should get first dibs at the government jobs. So I think it should be humanist and kind and as easy of a transition as possible.
Yes. So I forgot I was going to bring this up at the beginning of the week. I took this screenshot, but it's really important to talk about right this second because it is connected to the healthcare and why is a nationalized, government-run, however bad way you want to try to say it, healthcare system better? Because don't let anyone fool you. It's not free. Right? This is a leftist saying it isn't free because it's really not. You do pay for the health care. It is free at the point of service because you are continuously paying into it, just like your taxes. Right? So I have a list from the Bernie Sanders healthcare plan, Medicare for All. How much would it cost you a year? to pay for healthcare if the government's taking your money and not a health insurance company. So this is the exact plan. This is the numbers. If you make $1 million a year, you will pay $38,840. A lot of money. If you make $1 million, that's not a lot of money. If you make half that, if you make $500,000 a year, you will pay $18,840. That's $20,000 less, which is about half for making half as much. It's decently fair here. So if you go $400,000, you pay $14,000, 840. $300,000 a year, then you will pay $10,840. If you make $200,000 a year, you will pay $6,840. That is close to most people's deductibles that you have to pay anyways before an insurance company. That's just your fucking deductible. And that pays for everything. If you get cancer,
everything.
Anything.
And
the ambulance ride.
Vision and hearing and dental. So all of it. That. Yes.
I'm not done.
America should be number one in healthcare. Don't we have the best doctors? I think we do.
Right. And I'm not even done. That was just $200,000. If you make $100,000 a year, you will pay $2,840 a year for healthcare. Just comes out of your paycheck of taxes. You do get higher taxes. Look at how much you're saving just through not just how much you pay to the insurance company out of every check, because you already get that money coming out of your check.
Yeah, you get to keep that.
Also less than your deductible. You don't pay a deductible anymore. Free at the point of service. This is fucking insane.
No copay.
Why do we do this when we can do this?
Right, we can do this. So
again, you save $400 if you make $90,000 a year. So you do $2,440. If you make $80,000 a year, which is double what I make, pretty much, you pay $2,040. If you make $70,000. This is yearly household income. I'm getting close to the top, so I read the bracket. You pay $1,640. You make $60,000 a year, you pay $1,240. If you make $50,000 a year, guess how much you pay for healthcare a year now? Comes out of your taxes. You don't see it. You also don't see a bill.
Right.
$840.
Oh my gosh.
If you make $40,000 a year, which is about what like a manager at like a retail or a fast food restaurant might make. You pay $440 out of your taxes.
Yeah.
$30,000 a year, is that what your household makes? Then you pay $40 a year for healthcare. Why the fuck do you need to buy health insurance? If we can do this plan, hold on, I'm sorry, I'm still not done yet. One more. If you make $29,000 a year or less, you pay zero in taxes because you live in poverty. You shouldn't have to pay more for taxes, but you should still have a basic human right of fucking healthcare.
And the same type of care.
Be happy and angry at the same time.
Yes.
Because we don't have it. We don't have this. This is a plan, and it is foolproof. We can do this. The only thing that we need to do on top of it is we really do need to pay for education for everyone. We need that to come out of taxes too, so we can have more people who want to be a doctor or a nurse go to school for free. So we have more doctors to pay.
We could do that like without changing too much. Like now.
We could have private companies do it and not have the government do it.
No. If we eliminate the areas where schools are taxed from, schools are taxed by property taxes. So if it's a wealthy neighborhood, well, it's going to be a nicely funded school. And if it's an area full of projects and government housing. It's not going to have any property tax really, so it's not going to have any type of an education that you would be proud of, unless you're lucky and you have one of those, more progressive mayors who makes shit happen for you. If we got rid of that and we took the taxes that are allocated for education and put it all into one pot for the whole nation, and then it went out to every school equally, and everybody got amazing education. Or if you wanted to do it more locally, then it could just be the whole taxes for the state, and then that would go out to each school equally. I think it would be better federally, because we would be able to get our science and math standards higher than they are in some states.
Right. Yeah, you're right. And
I'm talking about you, Florida. Florida's actually really, really good in sciences too.
Oh, nice.
Believe it or not. Yeah.
Believe it or not, I don't believe it yet.
Never thought I could be so free.
That's the second time I've done that like today. All right. So I want to move on in a minute, because we're getting further into the politics, and that's closer to what we're moving into here, though. But my main point here is what I said a little bit ago. I know I keep saying my main point, and I keep putting my fingers up. Karate chop. Point is, whether we open our economy back up or not, people are going to suffer. Both ways. They are going to, both ways. Not every class is going to feel it the same as another, but everyone's going to feel it. And if you aren't feeling it in the worst way, you know someone who is feeling it in the worst way. You need to think of some, more people than yourself. I am okay. I have an essential job right now. I know a lot of people who don't, right? They're not okay. And they don't tell you that because of shame or just they want to pull themselves up by their bootstraps. But we need an economy. We need our economy and our government to change so we can handle this, and we can handle it next time, and that we're more prepared next time, because this isn't the last time we deal with a pandemic or any other kind of world fucking threat. Climate change is a real thing. And these houses that we live in, I talked about earlier, we're going to get more severe storms. We're going to get more severe heat. Have you noticed that your air conditioner doesn't keep up like it did back in the 90s? It gets fucking hotter outside, stays hotter outside.
Yeah,
your electric bill goes out.
We noticed that Miami can have a bright sunny day and have 2 inches of water downtown on the roads, and that's because it's coming up through the holes, the sewage. It's rising.
And what happens when that water's too high or it's too hot outside to safely go to work? Can you just stay home? Do we have an economy that supports you?
In Miami, they get flooded a lot. Yeah.
And do they support their people?
Well, I mean, South Tampa gets flooded a lot too, and I've known friends that were told, "I don't care, you still have to get here." And I've worked, like Stacy worked for a boss that said, "Well, I mean, if you're, home, don't worry about it. But if you're already out, might as well come all the way." So
yeah, and that's another thing that I want to talk about, but I'm going to try to make this as short as possible. So by midnight, we're switching topics. Is for people I know people who have walked through a blizzard to go to work.
Yeah.
Because they're scared of not coming to work. But some people are just overachievers like that. I'm one of those people. I just wanted to do it. I can do it. And I think that if people want to do something stupid like that, we should let them. Because I really do believe in freedom, right? But we need to incentivize people to do the right thing. Stay safe. Stay safe for themselves. Stay safe for their families that they provide for. And stay safe for the people around them so we don't get them sick. We need to incentivize it instead of maybe just mandate it. And Christy walked away for a second. I hope she can still hear me. So, because I want to get her opinion and everyone else's opinion, really. Though I'm not looking at the live chat right now because I can't do both and stay on track. But this has really got me thinking about how we need to deal with emergencies in a government, because I want a good left government, and I also want it to be as far as authoritarian as I can get. And I don't want a completely libertarian free market kind of economy, because that goes, if you're too free, then a company has all the freedom in the world to be as authoritarian as they can. So you need to have a balance from the up and down part of the spectrum of the political compass. You need to have regulations on the conflicting powers that be. So I really want to throw that idea out there and say that I don't know if I necessarily agree with how all of the governors and the president and other world leaders are enforcing the lockdowns, because if we could incentivize them more, it'd be a freer way to do it. Like, people could still go out and be stupid. You get that Darwinism. Not that I advocate for that. I don't want that. I do want stupid people to survive, not just because they're entertaining, but just because that's the more humanistic view to take, right? I want people to stay home, but in the political system and the economy that we have, we don't incentivize people to stay home. We are ordering them to stay home. And then you get all of the alarmists who say, well, they're showing all these emergency powers, and then they're going to keep them in place. And you know what? They very well could. They could, right? Because we don't have control over our government. We don't have a by for the people kind of government, like I continuously say. I think Kim Iverson is making a really good point. And I don't 100% agree with her right now, but I super duper see her points. It's making me think that we need to incentivize instead of mandate. That's her main point. If we want freedom, if we want to say we're a super duper free country and we're the best, we need to have sources that we can trust. We need to have an economy that cares for their people, so we can incentivize people to stay home and just do the right thing. And we need to then just be able to act on it. Like, we need to not worry so much about the government taking over or having such a free market that our businesses can say, well, I know the government's not making you stay home, so you need to get your ass to work. No, we need to have a good middle ground. We need to have those regulations, and we need to incentivize people to stay home, and we need to pay the people so they can keep the businesses going and flow. Like, everything, like, it goes full circle. Everything we just talked about over the last hour goes full circle.
I mean, are these people, when their doctor says you have a very strong infection, you have to take this antibiotic, it's a very high milligram, you have to take one every 12 hours for 10 days, you have to. Do they, when they leave the doctor's office, you don't tell me what to do, don't stop, like, I don't get it.
People do that.
And scientists are saying this is what you need to do, and you're protesting facts, is what I see. And I'm just like, oh, I can't with you guys. I just feel like it's like Boris Johnson, herd immunity, the economy comes first, and then he ends up in the hospital. These people are going to be sick, and I don't want any of them sick, but they're protesting what, actually? The facts? Yeah. Like, that you have to stay home because you will spread the sickness? I mean, they all had different answers. They all had different reasons for being there. Some had libertarian reasons. They were just out there because, government bad. That was the only reason. Other people were out there because they didn't like their Democratic leader in that state for whatever reason.
Yeah. But these examples still, I think they still make a good point, though, because even just what I'm saying, like if I'm saying we need to change our politics and the way that we run our economy, like if the way that we open back up or don't open back up really makes people suffer and their children die or other parts of their family die, people are going to be mad. And if they have these stay-at-home mandates, orders, when they're trying to push for change and go and protest, like it is their right. I don't know if their rights really should be revoked. Like, we should be able to go out and be like, I have a fucking problem. It is a now fucking problem, not in 6 months when my other two kids die problem. No, we do need to have those rights, even if some people are practicing them stupidly. Like, that's why we have inalienable rights, is because some people fuck them up, but we need them there for the real reason, right?
I mean, we just had a protest last week that was a very strong protest, and it was done within all of the medically suggested ways. People stayed inside their cars.
The cars.
Stayed there for hours. I mean, sunrise to sundown, honking their horn, driving around, parking around this prison to let people out, and they did. You know, there are ways. I'm the protest. You know, I'm down for the protest. Like, I am down to organize a protest. That is what it is about. I just, you know, all the guns, and I'm for the right to carry their guns. I'm saying how they look to me. I'm just like, seriously, like, where are you? Are you gonna shoot COVID? Like, what is going on? I'm so confused right now. You know, COVID's not a person, right?
Right.
I'm being facetious, obviously. No, I also understand at the same time of being silly and thinking that all of that is a big show of bravado. It's ignorant at best. However, at the same time of acknowledging that, each one of them is a human, and each one of them got to where they are in their beliefs because of the information that they've had available to them. So I can't even blame them. I'm so mad at the system for letting there be no regulations on what is coming. Here's information, here's entertainment. Like, it's just, if it looks like news and it sounds like news and they're saying they're news, it must be news. And that's frustrating. I think that we need to start pushing for media literacy. I think that needs to be on everybody's tongues all the time. Media literacy. Start saying it so much that people who don't know what it means go find out what it means.
All right. That is a good place, I think, to stop for this
welcome.
Part of the topic. Yes, you're wonderful. You're so good at pretty little bow right there on the end.
I did it on purpose
too. So the next point here, or next topic, is future 2020's past. The future of 2020's past. What's going to happen, right, in November? Joe Biden or Trump or some unforeseeable candidate. Reason I want to talk about this, again, is kind of the foresight. Because you guys know that Christy and I don't really want to vote for Biden, especially if he doesn't earn that vote. Like, if he just picks a Republican vice president and is like, yeah, I'm still going to veto Medicare for all if it actually gets to my desk. No, then totally fuck you, dude. We die. So my reasoning, I will repeat, and I'll try and do it quickly, is because I'm on the line of rather having Trump instead of Biden, because if we have Trump, we still have that fire under our asses to get Trump out. Nothing is okay. If we have Biden, we have less people, much, much less people with that fire under their asses. And he only wants to do a 4-year presidency. So we're not supposed to fight him in that time. And then we get Pence. That's the way I see it. I don't want Pence. in 5 years or 8 years. I don't want Ivanka Trump
Oh,
in
hell
8
no.
years, 5 or 8 years,
No,
9 years,
never.
whatever. No, I don't want it. But I think if we just get Biden and he has a shitty moderate agenda, that's what we get. And I don't want that. So I have to use, again, foresight for this. And that's why I'm making my decision to rail against Biden, whether or not I'm going to vote for him. Like, I need to be honest about how he is. But if I'm going to vote for him, he has to earn it. And if I don't vote for him, that means he hasn't earned it. And I think he's going to bring someone worse than Trump in afterwards.
Klobuchar?
So, Klobuchar. Yeah. I would rather vote for Klobuchar. I would much rather have Cory Booker. I'm like, God, if we just had Cory Booker instead, I could bite my tongue.
But he's better than Biden.
Way better, way better. But yeah, he's still awful, but I'd bend there. I have some bend. Biden was one of the worst choices we had. I don't want to support him. And the only way you keep power over your politicians is you use your vote against them. If you promise your vote to them and then say, man, you got to work with me because I gave you this, that's not how any kind of trade works. Any. Think of one section of your life where you can give away your leverage and then ask for something.
Right. Yep. That's why hookers
you have to be asking for
up front. Hookers do ask for the money up front. That's the oldest business on the planet. They know. Don't pay the hooker, Joe Biden, first. Like, don't pay him first. Make him work.
He did say he would prostitute himself. He said those exact words.
Absolutely. That's what, yes. He is a lifetime politician.
Yes. So I can't see the live chat right now. I don't know who's mad at me for repeating again and again. But that's my stance. And if you don't have that stance, I accept that.
Yeah, same.
I don't want to say it's fine because I still don't like that.
No, I understand it.
Because I don't want Pence.
I do. I think that he could still earn my vote. I believe in redemption. I really do. I believe in learning. I mean, look how much I've learned in the last 10 years. I was a totally different person. So if I could do it, anybody could do it. And sometimes it happens overnight. You're just like, holy crap, I was wrong about so much. I need to make it up. What can I do? I'm at your service. If something like that happened, oh yeah, absolutely. Bernie having a huge, spot
role.
Yeah, would, just because I'm really stuck. I do not want Trump at all. I would almost do anything.
I do not want Trump. I want to make that clear. I know I keep saying I'd rather, but I don't want.
I will never vote for Trump. That will never happen.
No, neither of us.
Howie Hawkins, I've been looking into him, and he just has a new challenger that just made it very vocal this week that he was challenging him on a few of his policies. So this is interesting. Awesome. They haven't even had their primary yet. So I'll be paying attention to all of that and seeing where I am there. And there are a lot of other, not just myself, members of the DSA that are not voting for Biden unless he gives some concessions. We have the Democratic Socialists of America as a whole has sent over to Biden, if you want our vote, these are the things you have to stand for. Medicare for all. You have to forgive student loan debt. It just has to be. Education, it doesn't have to be universities, but like your 2 and 4 year state colleges, they have to be tuition free. Education has to be a must. And you have to expand food assistance. You have to expand these things to help more people. And it was a short list, like what I just said, basic humanist things. If you give us these, we'll vote for you. We'll tell all of our members to vote for you.
Christy,
cricket.
Right. Can you tell me 3 things that that are you find reasonable for a Democratic candidate to have on their platform that they absolutely have to have for you to vote for Joe? Name 3 things that if he picks up, you'll vote for him.
Medicare for all.
One.
Bernie, Medicare for all.
Yes.
And the education, the forgiving all school loan debt, all of it. Yes, and education.
So does that? Okay, so free education and loan forgiveness both together.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, that's the education bill. Yeah, so it would have to be that education bill. And then for the other one, oh gosh. I mean, it wouldn't be anything he could probably do, because I want money out of politics. He couldn't do that, but
he could push for it, couldn't he?
I mean, he could push for it.
Yeah.
Say he would. But with Medicare for all, I get a lot of what I want with getting, the insurance out, and with the education for all and forgiveness of school debt. I just freed up, or he would just have freed up an entire generation of Americans to pursue their dreams, and that just would change everything. And then, like, I guess the last one would be to stop bombing everyone. Like, there's just no reason to just be doing aggressive wars. We need to be doing defensive wars, to when we defend ourselves from someone. Yeah. So maybe my third one would be to stop,
like a Peace Corps or something.
Yeah.
Department of Peace. Yeah. Okay. I think mine would be absolutely like Medicare for all. I think it's just so doable. It's so doable that you can just do it. Yeah, you just have to. One is he needs to fucking fight for Tulsi's bill of having paper ballots and ranked choice voting.
Oh yes.
So it's like
good one.
You fight for that, because I think that's gonna help get money out of politics on its own. Like that's one thing that will really help with it. And then third, I don't know if to pick a policy, because there's multiple, but one thing that keeps crawling back into my head, like I love AOC, I love Bernie Sanders, I love Tulsi Gabbard. They all endorsed Joe, and none of them are talking about Tara Reade still. I just want Biden to live up to it. Yep. If he did it, that was a long time ago. He's still creepy Uncle Joe. If he can live up to it and say he was wrong, even if he's still.
Oh my God. Yeah, he would earn so much respect.
Yes. And so many people on the left would hate him. I get that. But that would help him earn my vote, acknowledging it, really apologizing, and doing more than that. But really acknowledging, just manning up. Like, yeah, I did that. That was shitty. I'd probably still do it to people, but I'm going to be honest about it. I'm like, all right, well, that's better than what we got. I will vote for you. Thanks for picking up Medicare, that and that.
If he acknowledged it and really, genuine apology, yes. I think that would be hard for me, because that would mean that he is not the person I thought he was, because the person I think he is could never do that.
Up to that.
Would never apologize for assaulting.
No. And that's just so big, because being a shitty person bothers me much less than lying about being a shitty person. Much less. Yeah, that's one reason why I like Joe Rogan so much. I'm like, yeah, he's kind of an asshole. Like, when I tell someone that I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast, mildly, every now and then, and they're like, oh man, isn't he crazy, or isn't he a dick, or isn't he an asshole? Doesn't he believe that? No. Yeah, he's honest about it. He's honest about all of everything's on the table with that guy. He's genuine.
A fighter. He fights.
He's a fighter, and he's genuine. I don't care if I disagree with you if I think you're genuine.
if he has someone that I like, oh, that's gonna be a good conversation, I listen to the whole thing. Like Cornel West, that was my favorite one in the last few years. Was Cornel West? Cornel West he's bae.
He's bae.
He's bae. Yeah.
So, okay. So why did we even start this?
Backtrack. Anything.
Yeah. So again, we don't have a political system. Sounds like I'm doing the last topic, but I'm not. That really allows us to vote a third-party candidate and really get that candidate. That's something that would really, really, really help this predicament. We shouldn't have a two-party system in Congress, on the courts, for the executive branch. We just shouldn't. We shouldn't. We need someone to fight against it. And I just think if I vote for Biden or Trump, right? Ew. Anyone who doesn't agree with their party candidate shouldn't vote for him. Like, if you already agree with me that these candidates suck, then you should just vote Green Party. Like, that should be the default.
Check out Green Party. I think people like the platform. I was there all day today. I signed up to volunteer because that's the only way you get to know the people. And
yeah, because they're the party that has the next best chance, really. Them or the Libertarian Party.
It's more humanist than the Democratic Party could be in its dream. Yeah. Like, right. It is far off dream.
Yeah.
And compared to the Green Party platform, the Democratic platform is like the Wicked Witch of the West. It's night and day.
Right. And let me make a real quick case, because I'm not sure if I've said it this way on the show. I really used to like the Libertarian Party, like the idea of them. But even with the dude who's probably still running for president, like via YouTube, that they've had on the Non Sequitur show before. I can't remember his name. They've had him on a couple times. He's a libertarian. He's good at arguing his stuff. He's good at arguing it all the way down to the solutions every single time. I'm against this. I'm against this. I'm against this. I'm against this. Right. You never know what a libertarian is actually for. You don't actually really get their solutions except burn it all down. They're basically anarchists without those burn down the boat to the paddle. And they're like, well, it'll figure itself out from there. People don't like their government. Like, well, if you burn it most of the way down and you still build a decent government, you can start building solutions. And that's the thing I don't like about the Libertarian Party. It's just like they don't like bad things, but they don't have anything good to go with it. So that's the way I see it. So that's why I say default green.
And taxes aren't theft.
Taxes aren't theft. Taxes are payment for public goods.
Right.
If done properly. And we don't do it properly.
Are you a patriot or not? Do you love America or not? Because if you loved America and you were a patriot, you would want to pay your dues to be part of this club that's number one in the whole world. That military's not going to pay for itself.
True.
Yeah. And true. You can't take your own highway with you when you go for a ride. So.
Yeah. So yeah, this whole thing is just, I really want to acknowledge tonight that I understand everyone's concern. When I talk about, I would maybe rather have Trump over Biden, because I understand the Supreme Court is at stake. Abortion rights, women's rights are at stake. Anything besides a Christian, like a specifically, kind of Christian, I don't even know what to call it, Muslims lose out, atheists lose out. Anyone who's not that normal, picture perfect Christian white family in a conservative area, they lose free speech rights. You lose a lot if you get Trump in office. And if he gets the House of Representatives or the Senate back to the Republican side, we are super, super fucked. And they can really swing elections by gerrymandering. This is a gerrymandering year.
And
This
the court
is
said it's perfectly legal, just like bribery is perfectly legal with Citizens United. That's why it's important to vote.
Legal
people.
Bribery, legal election fraud. But you get that legal election fraud also with the Democrats.
Well,
And it's not right? So
we have
I understand.
A far-right party and a center-right party.
We do. The moderates are rights. Bernie Sanders is the only actual moderate on a world view of a political scale. And that's sad. So it needs to be acknowledged, all the things that we lose if we continue to keep Trump. But we can't damage control in 4 years everything that he's done and Bush had done and Obama had done. We can't damage control that in 4 years. Maybe not even 8. We need better than Biden, or we need Biden to be better, or we lose anyways. So we need to keep that fire under our asses, or we need to make a dramatic change to the left now. So that's the only way I see the scenario.
Give any advice to especially really much bigger platforms who have already stated that they will be voting blue no matter who. Even if you are planning on doing that, why would you let them know that they don't have to even listen to your demands? Why would you do that? Hold off saying absolutely. If you want me to, you have to show me something. You have to, give me some concessions. This is what the candidate I liked was fighting for. Show me that you will fight for some of those. Show me you will, and then I will. Even if you plan on go ahead and, plugging your nose and doing the lesser evil again, 2016 again.
Right.
Don't let them know that you're going to do it until until you vote, because they know. Biden and others are on record stating, why would we listen to them, meaning progressives back in the 90s, with talking to Bill Clinton, saying they have nowhere to go. Because they know we have nowhere to go. So
if you think we need to change that, then you shouldn't vote for Biden no matter what. Because he will just keep it the way it is. Nothing will fundamentally change, quoting Joe Biden. Can I answer your question real quick,
to make
Christy?
America great again.
Okay, right. I want to answer your question real quick on why would you do that? Why would you just tell them that you're voting blue no matter who? Because it is a very simple answer why so many people use that phrase and say it so early on. And the simple answer is because we like memes. Vote blue no matter who. Unity. The word unity and the phrase vote blue no matter who. It's just propaganda. Those are trigger words. Those are dog whistles. It's so important that we unite and vote blue no matter who to defeat the bad guys. That is the message. And that's so important because we see stuff in black and white when gray area, right? Gray skeptic, gray area. We see things as good or evil, so we just need to fucking settle on what the greater good is. And it's bullshit. It's propaganda. And it is why we're stuck in this situation that we have with COVID-19 and this election. It was fucking everything. Because we just keep getting dealt false dichotomies and we're like, shit. Well, we got to go with the greater good. That's what we always get. Always. And we will just continue to keep it if we vote for Biden. Yeah. Even if he does better, we will continue to keep the majority of it.
Right. I know there's so much to think about, and we do have time before November. I do I can say that I'm not going to tell anyone how to vote, nor would I want anyone to tell me how to vote. Make your argument. I'm down for that. I want to hear your argument for your person, but yeah, but don't, I don't think that it's right for even a channel to say, that's who this channel's voting for, and you should too. I That's fine if that's what you do. I just think that for myself, 2016, I was terrified of a Trump presidency. Terrified. I have two daughters. Oh God, no way. So even though I wanted to vote for the person who had the policies that best aligned with mine, Jill Stein, and I couldn't because I live in a swing state and I was terrified. So I voted for Hillary Clinton. I've regretted it ever since, because the data, the weeks going up to it, were showing Trump could actually win this thing. So if I was paying attention to that and the state I lived in and the numbers here showing he was going to win this thing, I should have voted my conscience, because it didn't matter here in Florida. And because I live here in Florida and I am now definitely paying attention to those things and the numbers, yeah. Trump is going to win Florida by a big margin. So I'm going to vote a protest vote. There's no my Biden vote, even if I really meant it, wouldn't mean shit here. It just isn't going to. So I'm going to
in my
vote
state
my
it would.
And I'm going to feel good about it for at least 4 years instead of feel shitty about it this whole 4 years.
And I'm happy for you. And I'm happy for you.
And I haven't made up my mind who I'm going to vote for yet. So if you want my vote, then you better earn it. I'm talking to you, Howie Hawkins, too.
There you go. And if you're going to vote, which I hope you do, I hope you feel good about your vote. That's what it should be. Like, you should be able to vote for who you want to vote for. That's how it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And I've regretted voting for Gary Johnson, but not because I wanted to vote for Hillary or Trump.
Right.
I kind of wish I voted for Jill Stein. That's the main regret. But really, as much as I knew about politics, I don't hold that much against myself, even because I didn't.
You've a lot of people don't. Lots in a very short amount of time. I mean, you just consumed it.
A mentor.
Oh, my young Padawan learner. You are wise. You are.
Qui-Gon Christy. All right. Well, that's all I really wanted to cover tonight. I hope it was all coherent. I hope I said everything in a decent, consumable way.
I am going to be looking a lot into the Green Party's candidates, so I can grammar. I've done it before. I will have for you some information next week on the Green Party candidates, on when their primary is, just like basic information that, why would I know as an American a political party's information? Like, that's so frustrating to me. Of course I should know these things, but it's just not pushed. And the Green Party is not even on every ballot in the entire country. So they would have to win every single state that they're actually on a ballot. It's just so unfair. It's just a rigged system. Yeah. So in order to get the Green Party and other parties on the ballot in every state, the people have to demand these things. And if no one's voting for those parties, well, then no one has to do anything about it. So there's that too.
Yeah.
Be about it.
Yeah. Last thing I want to mention real quick. I can't remember where it was. I want to say it was Virginia, maybe West Virginia. You probably heard this on 2AT. A Christian pastor who thought that the coronavirus was like mass hysteria. He recently died because he was dealing with people who were ill, and he got the coronavirus and he died. And he said that he was fine because he had the Spirit of God within him. But the Spirit of God does not.
Blood. He was washed in the blood.
He was washed in blood, but
I'm not laughing at his death.
No.
Although I'm laughing at
I know you're not.
who said she was washed in the blood. I'm sure you guys all know who I'm talking about.
I didn't see that.
I will send it to you, Mac. It's so
thank you. It's so sad though, because one reason why I don't like religion, like I said, I like it for cultural purposes, because you learn a lot about a people or a person by knowing what their beliefs are. But I think it is inherently bad to think something not true, because it can make you do harmful things to yourself or others. He just believed that God was going to protect him so much that it killed him. So that's not funny. It's really sad. And I'm sure he's not the only one in the US who's died from either this or another disease, because a lot of pastors do a lot of healing, and they are not medical professionals, and they are not really protected by the Spirit of God. That makes me so sad for not just them, but their other followers that have to deal with those sick people around them who come in to be healed when they should be staying home, just like you shouldn't go to work with the flu, right? You need to stay home and keep your fellow humans safe. We didn't focus on that very much this week, but I did want to mention that story and how I feel about it, because, it's sad, and I wish it stopped happening. So that is that. That is all. I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Christy, do you have any final thoughts or words?
I did put it in the chat, so go ahead and click on that, and you'll watch the woman talking about why she is safe from COVID, because she's been washed in the blood.
That just sounds so unsanitary.
Not sanitary at all, I promise. And Jesus is really, really old, so it's probably crusty. And, nothing good can come from crusty Jesus blood, so I don't know.
Crusty Jesus crackers, those are actually pretty good. I like that. Those little communion bread.
The juice is his blood, Mac. The crackers are his body.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah, it's perfectly normal, okay? People pretend to eat humans all the time.
It's cannibalism, and that's socially acceptable.
It is, but it's also Christianity. So there's that.
That's that. Thanks for sharing.
Silly. I love you guys. And stay committed for God's sake.
For God's sake.